Hey Electrom fans, I'm just finishing up Electrom number 9. This is a new bike that's going up to a customer here in British Columbia, and I thought while I still had the shrouding off of the bike, I would go over some of the inner workings of the Electrom, because a lot of people ask me, how does the generator drive work, what kind of batteries are inside of it, how does the steering work, things like that. So let's take this opportunity to have a quick look at the Electrom. So starting off on the outside, we haven't put any of the vinyl wrap on it yet, so we're still looking at the raw black plastic and carbon fiber. And this bike is going to get a nice metallic orange paint job, we'll call it, for lack of a better word. Now, let's have a closer look at some of the inner workings. Up front, we have the Shengyi SX1 geared hub motor, nice powerful little geared hub motor, and you can also see the hydraulic disc brakes there, and we're running a 203 millimeter rotor up front. And this is a RST dirt jumper fork, which is a nice strong fork, and this is our custom carbon fiber fender. We have our signals and our headlight, the polycarbonate cowling with the nice gently rounded dash, and the Grin Cycle Analyst V3 console. And here's the real fun stuff in terms of what's going on inside of here. The steering is accomplished via cable. This is a nice 17 to 9, or what is it, 917 braided aircraft cable. Technically it's a wire rope, and then we've got the turnbuckle here for tightening the adjustments. This is the heart of the GCD, or generator chain drive system, and this allows the rider to pedal, and we've got one chain going to the back wheel, providing power to the back wheel, but only at low speeds. And as soon as you're over about 10 kilometers per hour, that's just freewheeling in the back, and all of your human energy is going into the onboard generator, allowing you to supplement and provide power. This is a little rectifier that takes that AC power and turns it into 72 volt DC power. This is the 12 volt power converter that takes the 72 volt power from the batteries and converts it to 12 volt for things like the LED lights and horn. The Electrom is running a pair of 72 volt 24 amp hour batteries, which yields a range of about 200 kilometers at bicycle legal e-bike speeds. And these are 18650 cells inside, with each pack has a 60 amp battery management system. And we could do this with one big battery, but we actually prefer to do two smaller batteries because this gives you some redundancy. When batteries do fail, typically what fails is the battery management system. And it doesn't happen very often, but when it does happen, it basically leaves you stranded out on the road. So by running two batteries, we give you some redundancy. It basically means that if one of your BMS fails, you can still limp home on the reserve power you've got in the other battery. And these are matched batteries providing parallel power. So basically you're always drawing on and dropping power back into these batteries. The controllers we're running on the Electrom are the Grin Phase Runner 72 volt controllers. It's a beautiful little controller, tiny little controller, sheds heat really well, fits in nice tight spaces. This is the controller for the front hub motor, and here's the controller for the back hub motor. And on the back, I don't know if we can see it in here, but we're also running Grin's heat sink, because the back hub motor draws a lot more power. So we're running a heat sink, and we also have thermally conductive paste on there that's conducting the heat from the phase runner into the heat sink, as well as from the heat sink into this aluminum frame, which does a great job of shedding heat. Working our way back, the back motor duties are being done by the 9 Continents 212 hub motor. This is what's called a direct drive hub motor, and this allows for regenerative braking. They're mechanically very simple. They basically are a big stator inside of a hub shell. This makes them very, very robust and means they support regenerative braking, but it also makes them quite heavy, which in our case is not a problem, and in fact it's kind of an asset, because all of this extra weight contributes to the gyroscopic stability of the bike. What I've found is when the Electrom is up to speed, it's actually very, very stable. And on the other side, this is our back chain drive. We're running the Grin clamping torque arm. Torque arms are actually quite important, especially for direct drive hub motors, because whenever you switch into regenerative braking, all of that torque has to go somewhere, and it goes into the axle. And so we've got a nice, strong stainless steel clamping torque arm that prevents that axle from wiggling back and forth with the opposing forces as it goes from power forward to regen power backward. And then we can chase the chain line up to the generator chain drive, which we can see again here. And then these are our steering pulleys. Let's see if we can see the steering a little better from this side. The steering on the Electrom is very, very smooth. And that's actually quite important, because when you're riding a bike, one of the things you don't want is for any stiction or weird stuff to be going on in your steering. And this is the tail box. Now, as I said, this bike is not finished, so we haven't put the vinyl on top that will cover up the edges of these LED lights, but you can see on the back, where we already have applied the vinyl, what the system will be. Basically, the vinyl goes over top of the LEDs, and then very carefully we trim them out. This is the Electrom seat, and the Electrom seat frame is carbon fiber to keep weight down and to provide a really stiff frame. And then on top of that, we have our seat mesh, which has 5 adjustment points, so you can tune the seat to your particular body type, because not surprisingly, not everyone has the same body. And then for controls, we've got hydraulic brakes, front and rear. The Electrom does support regenerative braking, so when you squeeze one of these brake levers a little bit, it triggers regen and puts power back into the battery. And then on this side, we have the throttle and the rear brake. On this side, we have our turn signals, our horn, and our front brake. Okay, that's pretty much the end of the tour. I hope you've enjoyed this little look into the Electrom. And if you have any questions, feel free to email them to me, info@electrom.ca. Thanks very much for checking out the Electrom.